killing each other. Start caring for one another. Stop looking in the mirror and pretend nothing is wrong.
We felt we should take the initiative to bring people together, to strategize, to identify, and help reduce violence in the community.
So I'm from Zambia, just over here. So when I say violence, I'm talking about most of the times we're finding that a lot of our members are involved in the wrong group. So it's people they meet in school, people they meet in uni, and they get entangled in all that. They need to be able to take responsibility of their actions. But as a community, what we're trying to do is to build more opportunities and more programs for our young leaders or for our young people to get involved in something more meaningful than for them to get bored and feel like they can just follow other people and do what they are doing, which will end up being something which is against the law. I think the role of the original community has been neglected, but the question is who's to blame for the neglect. I will put the blame back onto the community because we have got the power to build it up into something that we want it to be. We can't sit back and wait for someone else to come and say, hey, come on, you're the community, let's build this. We need to do it ourselves. It's our responsibility to build those neglected communities back to where we need them to be, because we can do that.
If you lose the culture and the culture that you are going to adopt, you are not even going to participate in that culture fully, you will be in between. You will be just like somebody, like a lost sheep. You will not know your culture, and you will not in the culture that you want to adapt or assimilate yourself in. So you will be just in between, and it is really going to be a great challenge. That's why I said it's better if we keep our culture and embrace it with the Australian culture. I think the fear in that is that most of the family will break up because that person will not have his own culture, and he's not even going to present himself very well in other people's culture, like the Australian culture, and he will be just somebody who is lost, culturally lost.
We met the different problem, and we tried to fix it in the beginning. It's not really domestic violence, but it was the misunderstanding between wife and the husband, especially culture conflict. And back home is the father who has all responsibility. He's the father how to manage everything. When we came here, we found it different. It took longer the men to understand. The wife also, he have to manage, and the government also, they give the big order to the wife. When the new come, there's the new Rwandan come, we approach them, we explain how they work here before they have the problem. The second is a misunderstanding between the young Rwandans and the parents. The parents, they need the young to follow our culture, back home culture. And the young, the grown up here, he like to live like the way they like. When the parents would try to bring them back and to show them the form you can follow, sometimes they can have the misunderstanding. But because of a community, if there is something going wrong in the family, they come to us and we try to fix with them.
I'm a great believer in proactive policing. Whilst we can respond to the needs of what is happening now, we need to get to the younger ones to instill the message whilst it's at its grassroots level.
Objective is also to make sure that every young African feel responsible for what they do, and we want to make sure to encourage them and give them that understanding that it is their responsibility to be a good citizen. It doesn't have to be the police, it has to be everybody, it has to be something collective.
So that day, when this person killed my brother, he had that strong spirit that was negative. What drove him? We later on came to understand that it was hatred, which is again the same violence. that did not even happen in Australia, but somewhere in the UK, where he apparently said that he was beaten by a group of African guys, and therefore he came to carry it out here in Australia and drove towards my brother, and my brother ended up with his entire body shattered from the brain to the toe, because after he fell off to the ground, he drove again on him. It was terrible. I cannot imagine today what pain my brother went through.
In our community, in terms of violence, we do have emotional and bullying violence, so we tend to keep a very secretive life. Most of the people that come over here, they tend to want to be by themselves. They think that, oh, I've relocated over here, I'm going to stay away from my community people because I don't want any trouble, but it actually works out the opposite. They tend to be more isolated and have depression and have emotional traumas, and that actually leads to that emotional violence and physical violence, which would be happening in the communities. And because we live so secretive lives, it affects us in some way that we don't know, and it doesn't help in any way. It's not good for anyone, and that's the problems we are having in the community. Yeah.
Stop killing each other. Start caring for one another. Stop looking in the mirror and pretend nothing is